Okay, so as we wait for this to open up, I'll explain what we're going to do. Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me. So, what we're going to do is I'm just going to quickly go through the workspace with you all again. I know we've gone through this, but I'm going to go through that, and then I want to just show you how you clip up interviews. So you've got your raw interview, how you would make clips from that, either clips just taking what they've said or combining two clips to create a longer clip or a sexier or a stronger clip, which obviously is the kind of bedrock of your TV package. I will also will be going over some of those keyboard shortcuts, but what I won't do all that flashy YouTube captions on screen. I'm just going to put it on Blackboard because otherwise it'll take me a million years, and the longer it takes me, the less time you've got to check this out. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to make very quickly, I'm going to come up with a script, cut an interview clip, and then I'm going to come up with a script that kind of leads into it so it makes sense. So we'll be looking at, I'll be doing editing the clip of the former lecturer at Christchurch, and then using it to talk about Canterbury, see some shots of Canterbury, and then how you lead your script into hearing from your guest. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Right, I'm going to start a new project like that, just so... Ooh, there we go. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so project name, let's give it Workspace, and I create. Dum, dum, dum. Right, okay. So you might, when you first open up Premiere Pro, you might see something a bit different. Probably not that. Anyway, no, that's because I've been mucking about with it. Okay, so what we're going to do is put it on production. I'm going to show you how to change anything. Okay, so this is generally the sort of workspace that I have. As we've seen, here is where we import all our media. Okay, here is where we look at the media. So we're going to scrub through things here, and we'll see our bits and pieces here. This is our timeline where we do the actual editing, and then this window will show us kind of what is on that timeline, if that makes sense. I'm not going to do too much mucking about here, but I just want to show you a couple of things. So do this, basically, window. Okay, anything that you've got ticked here is going to show up in your interface here, your workspace. So what we're going to do, let's unclick a load of this, and I'll show you. Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's change it to a different one. So there's loads of different workspaces for what you want to do. I wouldn't worry about this. I use hardly any of these. I just set up my own workspace for editing. In fact, Jamie video editing, and then I'll set up a workspace, or generally just do everything in there. Maybe I might do something with the effects, but I reckon I've done that minimal times, if really at all. The main thing to note is anything you've got clicked here is going to go up sharp here. So I want, for example, I want effects control. I want my audio meters, definitely. I want my effect controls, effects, markers, what else? Text we can put in there. Right. Start again. Okay, so I'm going to put it on okay, so this is the workspace I generally work with. It's probably a good way of doing it. So first thing to remember is anything that's ticked here is going to show up. So this is probably a good list for you to set up on your own, because this is kind of what I use. So I've got audio meters. That tells me how loud my audio is. Effects controls, effects, essential graphics, captions and stuff like that. Media browser, that's over here, so that allows us to pull stuff in. I'll explain these windows. I know I've explained them, but I'll go through that quickly. Program monitor, which is up here. This is what shows you what you're editing. Source monitor here Timeline, obviously need that, that's for editing. Tools I have up, okay, which is over here. Right, so what you'll notice is I've got audio mixing. I've got my audio meter, there, but we can't see it, and that's because I've already dragged it over to here by the tools. Okay, so on one screen I use all my tools, boom boom boom, to edit, and then when I'm finished and I want to check audio, I just click there, switch it to audio meter, boom boom boom. So equally, if I wanted that, I can just drag that and I can put it over to the side here. If I drop it in that purple space, it's going to go in the middle. If I drop it there, it's going to go to the side. So like that. And then I can just grab that and pull it over, or I can't. But there we go. And then we've got our tools again. So what I would do there, I put it in slightly the wrong place. I'm going to put it right over to the side so I get that green line. Woo! And then I can pull it over like that. Now I've got this tools thing. This is like this is where all the good stuff happens. So I want to get this tools thing, and I'll drag it over there. Come on, come on, work! Damn it! Why aren't you working? Oh. Hang on. So I pull that over there. I can make my timeline bigger. I might get that, and I'm going to pull that, I'm going to put it over there, purple, so that means it's going to occupy the same place. Boom, I've made some space. So now I've got it on my audio meter, but if I want my tools, click on there, boom, tools. And I like it over here. So I'm going to put it there. I'm going to make it smaller. Okay, so once you mucked about with everything, go to your window and go Workspace, save as new Workspace, and then give it your name, like Jamie Video Editing. Okay, saves you faffing about later. Right, if you need an explanation of that, I can help you, but hopefully that's fairly straightforward. So again, you can things like, so effects control, I don't really want it here. I'm just going to drag that, I'm going to put it up in here. So there we go. I can now cycle through those. This gives me a bit more space here. Essential graphics, you know, I'm not going to have that down there. Stick it up there, boom, or drag it and put it into there, boom, and then we can select it there. Anyway, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So just to quickly go through what all these windows are. This is the first one, so you'll have blank space. So this is where we import all our films. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. And then up here, we want it on source. This is where, once we import some media, we'll be able to look at it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to import some media. I just double click. I don't know if that works. Yeah, there we go. We're learning together. Bing. Kenny All-Star. Right, what am I looking for? I'm looking for Johnny. I should have set this up before. Canterbury Johnny rushes. Okay. Rushes to use. So here are all my rushes. I'm just going to pull them all in, highlight them all, import. Might take a little while. Does anybody know any good jokes? What's the best type of cheese to get a bear out of a cave? Answers on a postcard. Right, okay, so, oh, come on bear. Right, so here we've got our films, okay, the shots we've got. Okay, so if I double click on there, I can see what Canterbury 3 is. And by going through this, we can scrub through the footage, okay, or press play. Okay, next one. So I'm going to double click on there. It's going to go, oh, that's nice. Who shot that? I did. Never shoot into a light source unless you're doing arty stuff like that. Right, so that's how you go through. Okay, so I'm going to find our interviews. So Johnny interview, double click on that and I can see it. Now, here are the first keystrokes that you already know. I and O. I stands for in and O stands for out. So what I do, I'm going to go through here.
To eat in, great restaurants and shops, I think. There's anything
That's the beginning of, I'm just going to find the beginning. Right, so I'm going to do I to mark my in point. And then I'm going to scrub along there to the end of the interview, take off the other at the end of it.
But it is only an hour from London on the train, you know, and also
And
2
then
hours from Paris on the train, virtually. So it offers a really great environment to be a student in, with great access to 2 of the world's biggest cities.
Right, so we know, nice face. So now that's where I'm going to come out. So I'm going to press O. You'll see that grey line's got smaller. That means now I can grab that. I know I've only chopped a little bit off it, but that's just I'm going to pull that into my editing timeline, okay? And I've taken off the beginning and the end. Okay, so here, underneath here, we see the audio, and here we see the video. So if we go through there, this monitor is showing us what's in here. So if I press space is play and space again to pause.
Well, I'm bowled away by it, really. You know, it's a beautiful medieval city, really pleasant, really clean.
Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in. So if I grab this, I can zoom in, okay, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Now here's a tip: if you've got your audio, you can kind of see where people start talking. So I know that he's not going to properly talk until there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop a bit more off, okay? This time I'm going to use, there's 2 ways of doing it, well, it's more than 2 ways. Here are the 2 tools that I want you to get used to using. Selection tool, or V. So if I put it over here and press V, it will turn into the selection tool. That means I can click and select things. And then you've got the razor blade here, which, as it says razor tool C. So if I press C or click on that, it will turn into a razor. So if you see the arrow there, I press C, becomes a razor blade. Okay, now we're going to use the razor blade to chop that off. Okay, so I'm just going to chop that, boom. Got to stop saying boom, Jamie. And then I'm going to press, what is it? V. And we see our selection tool. I can click on that, and then I just press delete, gone. Now I've chopped off a little bit too much, right? So instead of undoing that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, in the selection tool, I'm going to go down here and I'll see red either that way or that way. So if I grab it there, it's going to go backwards. Yeah, but what I want to do, it was there, is just roll it back a little bit. Okay, because I've missed the beginnings of his words.
Oh, bowled away by it, really.
There we go.
It's a beautiful medieval...
So I know, again, looking at this audio, that there's a question there because the audio is quieter. So I'm going to go to our blade tool, and I am going to, why not let me do that? Click on there, it's because I haven't clicked it. Oh, it's because I'm pressing the wrong, oh, it's C, Jamie. C, there, don't even need to look at it. V again to change it back to my selection tool, get that. That's a long one again. Yep, so I've got my selection tool, so I'm going to press C again for razor blade. Boom. Stop it. And there, and then I press V again, selection tool, click. Okay, and we're already just kind of rough cutting these. C for razor blade, C, C, C. I'll do this in a moment. Right. Now I'll just drag these closer together. I'm just highlighting them. Right. So now what we want to do is we want to have a listen to and decide which of these clips I was going to use. So I'm going to look for either 2 separate clips that work, or ideally I want to try and combine 2 separate clips to make one super sexy clip. One thing I should say, so what we're doing here is basically cutting or creating SOT. Okay, so if you ever go into a TV studio and somebody says, can you cut me some SOT, this is what we're doing. SOT stands for sound on tape, basically. So if anybody says, can you cut SOT, it means, can you cut me a bit of interview clip, generally about 25-30 seconds. Usually anything over 40 seconds is getting too long unless it's dynamite. So you're looking for 25 seconds, 30 seconds, 35 seconds of absolute dynamite audio. So let's have a listen to what he's got to say.
A really safe but busy, vibrant and cosmopolitan environment in which to be students. It's a small town, but there's a lot going on. There's about 30,000 students nearly in the city, a lot of foreign tourists.
So this is a bit waffly. Sorry, Johnny. Next one.
Yeah, well, both things I think are a kind of sliding doors situation where these young people's lives could have gone one way.
I don't know what we're talking about. I've lost interest.
That to our students and our multimedia journalism students. This is work for students too.
Right, here's the other thing that here's quite a good tip. So this is especially good when you do radio. So you might be editing a really long radio interview and you're sitting there listening to them talking really slowly. Okay, hilarious. On here, so what I do, if you've ever got to transcribe an interview or listen through to a radio interview or TV interview, just speed it up. Yeah, you can still hear it. So on here, basically, I'm going to press L, which speeds it up. Okay, and J will slow it down. So this is normal speed.
1970s hospital.
Let's click through.
Well, I still look up every day at the cathedral.
Okay,
and
now I'll
marvel
press
that's the
L.
view from the campus. And we have some great facilities here in terms of tech. The buildings are a little bit on the older side of things, but of course we are building a £150 million new campus in the side of the road. So
blah blah blah.
It's, next door.
Press K there to stop and come back to normal speed. So J slow, K go back to normal speed, L speed up. Normal, L. Double L, even quicker. Press K.
It is a lovely, supportive, safe, collegiate, higher education environment, and it's the same for the staff as it is for the students.
God, it's boring.
Medieval town, but it is only an hour from London.
Okay, so maybe we were looking at something from this clip.
Busy, vibrant and cosmopolitan environment in which to be students.
Here's another thing, let me say, never ever edit TV and certainly not radio without wearing headphones, okay, because audio is really important and you'll pick it up straight away. At the very least, you should be watching back your stuff after you finished it wearing headphones, because otherwise you won't hear if, for example, audio is one-legged, which means it's coming out of one side. This here is in stereo. I mean, don't worry about this, but I'd probably convert that to mono so it's more punchy, because I can hear it's a bit thin listening to it. Because I've got my headphones on, class. That's right, because I'm a professional. Anyway, let's crack on.
It's a small town, but there's a lot going on. There's about 30,000 students nearly.
I think
nearly an adult.
Right, what I'm going to do is, so we talk about Canterbury, benefits of Canterbury. Then we talk.
People's lives could have gone what?
We talk. So this is about Canterbury generally and how lovely it is. This is about the multimedia course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these clips. So let's have a little listen.
I think it offers them a really safe but busy, vibrant and cosmopolitan environment in which to be students. It's a small town, but there's a lot going on. There's about 30,000 students nearly in the city, a lot of foreign tourists. It almost feels more European to me at many times than an English city. Okay,
that's nice. So that gives a bit of colour. And also, think about what he's saying, because we don't want to watch his... Sorry, Johnny. We don't want to watch his face the whole time. So immediately things are being suggested, so we need our establishing shot of Canterbury, but he talks about it being almost like a European city, so we want some of that kind of, going down where all the houses are really narrow on the approach to the cathedral, and it almost feels a bit Christmassy and European. We want shots of foreign tourists, because he mentions that. He mentions how many students there are, so we want shots of the University of Kent, Christchurch, University of Creative Arts. So these are already things that we can use to bring in to add variety in our shots, so I'm just not looking at him.
A great place to spend 3 years making that transition from a complete teenager to nearly an adult. Yeah, well, both things I think are a kind of sliding doors situation.
Right, that's just like meaningless crap. So
where these young people's lives could have gone one way.
Right, so I'm basically going to take out that bit about sliding doors because it just is confusing. So
These young people's
I'm looking at my audio. I can tell that he finishes that there, and he's going to say they could have gone one way, and they whatever he says. So I reckon that cut's going to be there. But
lives could have gone one way, but they came here,
That's
they
wrong.
came to us, and now they have the chance to
actually,
go.
let's go back. I'm going to take it from there.
The
Right, so that's where we start. So I'm just going to press C, razor blade, V, well, it's already selected, get that, and then I'm going to just run these two clips together. Right, so we've got the basis of one clip. Now this is, as we will see, what you're going to get is a jump cut. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you probably already know by now that if there's one thing I hate more than injustice and people being nasty, it's jump cuts. That's why I can't watch YouTube. So what we'll do is we'll see his head jerk, okay, as we go between the clips.
From a complete teenager to nearly an adult. These young people's lives. Teenager to nearly an adult. These young.
Yeah, that's actually not too bad, but still, do not try and get a jump cut past me because you won't. Okay, so we now know that we need to cover this. So what we're going to do, we'll listen to what he says.
Making that transition from a complete teenager to nearly an adult. These young people's lives could have gone one way.
So we're talking about students. So now what I'm going to do is find something relevant. So I'm going over here. It's not students. I'm clicking on them. Where are my students? Well, that's good for European city. Go away. Quick, Jamie. Quick. That's Europe. Oh, that's perfect. Students. Do cutaway. Ooh. See, these are our setup shots that I told you always to get. So hopefully I'll have some shots of him teaching. There we go. And it even says they come to us. Over the shoulder rushes. Okay, maybe we could use that. Johnny cutting away, walking. I mean, I'll show you just the concept here. So, and we're going to use I and O again. Okay, so, oh, we've got a close up. That's even better. Give us a close up. Okay, so we can do that. That bloke on the right was well bored. Okay, so I'm going to go I for in. I'm just going to take a little bit. O. If I just drag this, I can plop that over there. So I'm not gonna put it right over the gap because I'm gonna get another shot, so we can change. I might even. Oh, that looks like they're talking to each other. We could do that. So I'm gonna go I, O. It's just a rough cut. Let's put that over there, and let's see if we can go back to the other one where we've got. Oh, that's not. Oh God, let's see. It's all about the angles. It's all about your other shots. Over the shoulder rushes. Yes. So if we go back to that wide shot, now hopefully it'll look a bit like they're all talking. I, O, bang. Okay, so this is probably rubbish, but so remember, anything that's on top here is going to cover what's underneath. Now the other thing to remember is these shots are going to have audio. You do not want audio of these shots playing during an interview. It's different. You can have audio from shots when it's your voiceover, but never during an interview. So what I'm going to do, click on there, I'm just going to drag that line down to 0. That means you will not get any sound from them. Let's have a quick look. Look, I did this roughly, so I don't know if it's going to work, but hopefully you'll get the idea. We're just covering the jump cut.
So I think it offers them a great place. Spent 3 years.
Here we go. That's actually quite nice, I think, apart from the wobbly camera. Here we go.
A great place. Spent 3 years making that transition from a complete teenager to nearly an adult. These young people's lives could have gone one way, but they came here. They came to us.
So that kind of works. I mean, the movements don't work completely. So let's do. I'm going to take off the beginning bit. So instead of cutting it, I'm just going to roll it forward a bit. Think about pacing. This is the other thing. Pacing is like how, if you feel like that you're watching the shot for too long or not long enough, think about extending or cutting it. So we're going to go there.
Making that transition from a complete...
Right, and I'm going to go out there. I don't know why, because it just feels right. I think maybe because her hand's on the table. So I'm going to pull that back there. We've got a little gap. I'm going to move that along, but I know that there's a reframing here. So I'm going to... Now, let's zoom in, because then we can do even more accurate. So I'm just going to pull that. Again, I'm not looking at this. I'm just hoping, and I think... Oh yeah, so we've got that wobble there. Oh look, they're turning the other way, which means they're listening. So, oh, look at this. It's like magic. Right, that's good. Now we've got that refocusing. So I probably want to stop here. So normally it's about pacing, but sometimes you're going to have to cut shots because it's going to end up being a bit crap. So I'm going to pull that in, and then I'm not going to look at the last one. I'm just going to drag her back. Hopefully it looks like they're all talking. I swear I haven't practiced this. This is just the magic happening. Here we go.
Let's spend 3 years making that transition from a complete teenager to nearly an adult.
Yeah, so that cut there was way too quick. So let's move that back to about there. So a shot should last on 3 seconds is the shortest. Generally you don't want to go over 5-6 seconds. It's different if it's a wide shot and things are moving, but generally as a rule of thumb 3 to 5 seconds, but trust your gut. Okay, so let's try again.
Making that transition from a complete teenager to nearly an adult. These young people's lives. So
I mean, there I'd play around because he ducks his head, yet the next shot his head is upright, so that's a bit weird. But then we run the risk of having things a bit short. So
to nearly an adult.
It's like he's about to keel over. What about if we roll it out? Oh, let's show you a slip tool. Hang on. No, ripple tool. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that. No, it's the wrong way around. Hang on, sorry. Control Z to undo. Slip tool. You're not going to let me, are you? This is awkward. Alright, don't worry, I'll teach you that in another time. So, I click that, and I move that forward, and I'm going to get a bit more of that at the beginning and then come out of it earlier. So, I'm looking for, that's it, there. It's still going to be a bit short, I can see. It's probably going to be a second too short, but... Right, and that's a bit blippy, so
I think it offers them a great play.
That's so he's moving, she's moving. Okay, so that's, I either want to roll that back.
So I think it offers them a great place to spend 3 years.
That's less jolty, or I could move it that way.
Place to spend 3 years making that transition.
That's really nice. So it's very small things like that. So if you think, look, oh, that just feels a bit weird, it's probably to do with the hand movements, it's probably to do with movement in one going into movement in the other. Trust your gut.
Spend 3 years making that transition from a complete teenager to nearly an adult.
Yeah, that's wicked, because then we have adult, we see her, so I'm going to move that back a little bit, I'm going to move that back a little bit, and then I'm just going to live with it.
3 years making that transition from a complete teenager to nearly an adult.
Yeah, so if we didn't have... Sorry, I'm being a perfectionist. Don't be a perfectionist. Perfection is the enemy of the good. Good is good enough, but I don't want to leave that. And then that's going to be too short. Coming out of there, we might get... Alright, sod it.
3 years making that transition from a complete teenager to nearly an adult.
Yeah, when we get camera movement. So, I mean, a bit fiddling about there. So, what I'm going to do now is, I now know that we're talking about Canterbury. So, I'm going to get my Canterbury shots. But, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write a script to introduce Johnny. Okay, because we know Johnny's our only interviewee. So, I'm going to have something along, I'm going to introduce the idea of Canterbury as a tourist destination. Then I'm going to introduce the fact that there's loads of students here. It's a student city, and then so we're going wide, narrowing in, and then we can bring in Johnny, who teaches at the university and also has only been recently moved to Canterbury, so kind of has that idea of what it will be like for them, because it's kind of almost his first time. So I'm going to write a very, very simple script and record that, and then I'm just going to build some shots over the top of everything else depending on what I say. So that's kind of the way I work. I write my script almost first after I've done my clips, and then I colour, I paint around my words, if that's not a really wanky thing to say, which it is, sorry. I illustrate my words. Other people I know, pure TV people can do it the other way around, but they're wankers. Do it my way, much better. All the best TV people, somebody said to me, have all been radio people, because we're just used to using words and nothing else. So, no way is better than the other way, apart from my way is better than the other way. So I'm going to do that, write a script, and then I'll put it all together, and then I will put it up for you, so you can kind of see some of the shot changes and the pacing and stuff like that. Pacing is really important. So if you're doing something that's kind of quite frenetic and that, or so, let's say you're doing slow pace, say so you're doing something about fishing, you're not going to want quick shots in there, because fishing is by nature slow and peaceful, so your shots will be longer, the changes will be slower. If you're doing something, I don't know, about nightclubs or firefighting or police or something, then it's going to be very choppy and quick. Okay, so there's pace as it relates to the subject, fit your pace to that, but also, you know, there'll be changes of paces throughout the piece, and so just be alive to, you know, the first thing you will know is you'll be like, that doesn't seem right. It seems clunky going from there to there. You'll also go, oh, that feels short, or that feels long. Okay, so just trust that, play around, and, you know, good stuff comes out of just that, you know, because you're forced to work with some constraints, and that's where creativity comes from. All creativity comes from a constraint. True dat, breadcrumb. Right, I'm going to put this up as well so you can have a look at it, and then I will go and do a script, voice it, and do the final piece. Super quick. Thank you for listening. Be safe. Make sure you smile at old people in the street. Okay. One thing before I go, actually, one thing I did forget, okay, is captions. Which are the little titles that come up. So you should always have captions on your interviewees, okay? They're called, you'll hear them referred to as capgens, Astons if you're at the BBC, chyrons if you're American, or ITV, that kind of place. But basically, or lower thirds, okay? All of these things mean the same thing. It's like a name tag. So lower thirds is probably, or captions is what you want to do. Call it lower thirds, basically because that title will appear in the lower third of the picture, if that makes sense. So obviously I haven't got my script in yet and stuff like that, but we want to see the person for a bit, 1, 2, 3 seconds, then we want the name tag. If the name tag comes up at the same time, people are reading the name tag, they miss what the person's saying. That's the same as, and before I forget, never ever start with a hard start on your TV package. Let the picture start first, let it run for 2-3 seconds before your voice comes in, because otherwise, if it all starts at the beginning, people are like, oh, do I listen, do I watch? Yeah, so always 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, then your voice. Okay, never pictures starting at the same time right at the beginning. So we're gonna see Johnny.
I think it offers them a really safe.
Right, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Now, the other thing I'm also going to show you is...
I think it offers them...
hang on. I don't want that. Right, so what I'm going to do is... I don't want that. Here's another thing. So...
I think it offers them a really
1,000,
safe...
2,000. I'm going to put it in about there. So if you press M over this, it will put a marker in. Okay, so that means that when you go back, you know, it's there. That's where I need to put it. Right, so I'm going to look for a lower third. So lower thirds are found in Essential Graphics. You may need to muck about, so you might see something different. It might be on Edit. Go, oh, nothing going on there. Go to Browse, okay? And here are all, look, it's like Star Wars. So we're looking for, so there we go, lower third left. That's for a gaming kind of thing. I'm going to make that bigger. I might just pick one and then decide to change it later. Lower third. Don't like those. I want a banner. Gives a banner. Should have worked this out before, shouldn't I? I just want a lower third banner. Oh, classic lower third. Right. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to put it where my marker is. Now, captions. 7 seconds is how long it takes people to read captions. So 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. Get rid of the caption. Okay, so we're going to hover over here. Otherwise, we won't see what we're writing. I'm going to click in here. And then I am... I can't remember how to bloody do this now. Oh, my God. I'll click over here then. No. Yeah, there we go. So I just clicked on there. Johnny Great Tricks. And then his job title. So name first and then job title afterwards. Journalism lecturer. It's all a bit small. So what I can also do is I can kind of click on these things and you can kind of move them about and make them bigger and all of that. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to leave it. So we want 7 seconds.
A really safe,
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. Press M, marker there, drag it to there. Bob is your proverbial uncle. And there we go. That's how you do a caption. Get into all of this because you can download loads of graphics, free graphics and stuff like that. The packs that it comes with aren't that great, although I haven't really looked through, but that's all you need. Don't be too clever in that. The flasher it is, the more people will just go, oh, isn't that exciting? Not listen. Also watch Brass Eye and remind me to tell you about that. Right, back in a bit. Be safe, smile at old people, blah, blah, blah.